I could have been a contender, but instead, we're the Godfather Minutes.
I'm Alex Robinson.
And I'm Andy Robinson.
And as we said, we're the Godfather Minute. I guess you already know that. You downloaded the podcast or you're streaming it, so it's not like you're like, oh, what is this thing I stumbled across?
Not so fast. Maybe someone downloaded it thinking it was the actual audio book of the movie.
Oh, right. Or maybe you're
minute by minute.
Maybe someone else is listening to it and you're eavesdropping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe someone else is playing it at work. Your boss, maybe. Well, you should get back to work instead of listening to us talk.
Get back to work. Go do your job. Walk around the parking lot.
What are you, a podcast judge?
Alex, it's time for your Italian lesson. Sorry, not Sicilian. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
E minuto numero 38.
38.
Yeah, this one, like 28, is the 30 and the 8 are merged. 38.
38. 38.
Perfect.
Minuto numero 38.
Opposite. 38.
38.
You got it.
Okay, like tofu.
Yeah.
Like tofu.
Think of it that way.
Yeah. Desmond Tofu.
Do you think any of the Corleones ever ate tofu?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but I was thinking more like Godfather 3, his kids and stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
getting healthier.
Kay's a sophisticated woman. I'm sure she had tofu when she was after they got divorced and they got rid of this whole Sicilian thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe they were making soy pasta, because I know you can make edamame pasta.
I don't imagine like hardcore Italian people are making soybean pasta.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about minute 38. Minute 38 starts off with the Don asking the Turk,
"Why do you come to me? Well, why do I deserve this great offer you're giving me?"
Does he say generosity? Is that what he says?
Yeah. And that's when he says, "Well, if you consider this just financing, then salud."
Te salute, Don Corleone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he gets right to it.
It's interesting seeing the Don in negotiations. Because up until now, every person we've seen him dealing with is like under him. And they're coming to him, asking for help and so on. And this one, he's kind of more, I guess he is kind of asking him for help, but it's more like a partnership than a
Yeah.
You think? Or do you think he's...
I think you're right. I think it's the first negotiation we see. Although technically Hagen went and tried to negotiate the part for Johnny in the new picture.
Right, but I mean, this is the first time the Don is doing it firsthand. So,
yes. We heard the story about him going to see the band leader and trying to negotiate there.
Yeah,
but we didn't really actually see it. And that's just some story. Who knows what really happened? It probably wasn't even a band leader or a contract. Probably just made that story up. So have you ever made up a story to make yourself...
Have you ever made up a story?
Yeah, well, just to make yourself look ridiculous. No, to make yourself look... Put yourself in a better position.
Oh, boy.
Sure. Or, a bad question, because we don't want to reveal that now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for a long time, I used to tell people I was a cartoonist, that I drew comic books.
What?
And no one ever, pressed it enough. I was like, oh, boy, what if they asked me to, draw something?
That would be so awesome if you can't draw. If you can't draw.
Believe me, it's no fun. So, so the Turk congratulates him for just considering $1 million cash, just financing. And then right after that, the Don kind of pauses. Like he's not sure what he's going to say to him. I don't know if he's going to, if this is the kind of thing where he was mad at Sonny during the meeting in the office. Yeah. You remember when Sonny comes in after, what is that? What's the term the Don uses? Wasting time with the...
Yeah, with the not the bridesmaid, but the girl, the flower girl. No, not the flower girl.
But he uses a specific... Yeah, anyway, so that I feel like that's the kind of thing when he's like, oh, salud, or, and then it's almost like looking at him, he's like, oh, am I going to have to get tough with this guy? Is he being like sarcastic? But the same kind of a feeling of like, but he doesn't do it.
No.
He's getting soft.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed during that weird scene, and I've noticed this always during The Godfather, if I point it out, you're always going to notice it too.
Okay.
What is up with Marlon Brando's forehead?
Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that.
He has like on the right side, let me see. The right side of his forehead, there's a certain part of it's like almost like a bump. And when he raises his eyebrows or something and makes his forehead get wrinkled, there's a strange circular wrinkle in the middle of his forehead. I'm going to show you in the break between the before we do the bonus.
Well, I'm sure I'll
content.
see it forever.
Yeah,
now.
you're always going to see. But I always wondered if it was part of his makeup. But then I looked.
It's only in this movie?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of Marlon Brando movies or enough where I would notice his forehead. But then I looked at pictures on the internet, and you could definitely see it when he's younger. Like his forehead doesn't get as wrinkly because he's younger, but there's still that kind of like strange flat area. I wonder what it is.
Wow.
I Googled it, and surprisingly, when you Google Marlon Brando's forehead, nothing comes up. Well, stuff comes up, but it has nothing to do with with that bump on his forehead. I don't know if it was like a childhood illness, like the Don who had.
I would say let's put it in our we asked, we answered bit, but it sounds like you've already looked it up and you haven't been able to find out.
We asked and nobody answered. Yeah, so if anyone out there knows the deal with Marlon Brando's forehead,
oh boy,
let us know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm sure I'll notice it every time now. And so, of course, a big part of the scene is...
It's a great part.
Yeah, when Don Corleone is in the process of getting this information and Santino opens his big mouth.
His yap.
Yeah, and he says, wait,
hot for the deal.
He was hot for the deal, and Sollozzo sees it. So what does Santino says? He interrupts and says, wait.
Are you telling me that the Italians are going to guarantee our... And then,
guarantee our investment? And then Don Corleone says, wait a minute. And then everyone just kind of looks at each other.
Well, I love that they wait like a beat of just Marlon Brando just staring at him like, what are you
doing? They show Clemenza too for a second, right? Just kind of looking. So everyone's all Tom. They show Tom.
Yeah.
And they show Sollozzo too. Sollozzo doesn't smile, but in the book he does. Puzo wrote, Hagen was horrified at this break. He saw the Don turn. It's funny, a lot of the book is written sort of from Hagen's perspective. Yeah. Hagen was horrified at this break. He saw the Don turn cold, malevolent eyes on his eldest son, who froze in uncomprehending dismay. Sollozzo's eyes flickered again, but this time with satisfaction. He had discovered a chink in the Don's fortress.
So he doesn't smile, but his eyes flicker.
Yeah.
Flickering eyes.
Young people are greedy. And today they have no manners. They interrupt their elders. They meddle.
What do you think about that?
So this is also where he says the thing about spoiling his children, right?
Yeah, that was I just read the book version of that.
Book, because the book is different than the movie. So
the book is different than the movie. The book is different than the movie. The book is different. The book is different. The book is different than the movie. Yeah.
I think it's a great bit of characterization. I think it really it shows you a good example of Sonny's character, that he's like short, not short tempered exactly, but he's impulsive.
Yeah.
So he doesn't think like, oh, should I say this? He immediately just snaps. And like you said, he was hot for the deal already. And so to add this on top, that apparently, what does that mean that they'll guarantee their investment? That if they don't make $1 million, that the Tatalias will pay the Corleones.
Yeah,
but I guess they'll get their percentage too.
I don't know if they would get their, and I don't know if they would get in addition to that the $300,000, the 30% he's promising him.
Right.
I think at least $1 million is safe.
Right. But he also
so the Tatalias don't have this money to put up.
I guess not.
Maybe not $1 million, but
or maybe the Italians also put up money,
but
like maybe the whole thing is costing $7 million, and he's like, okay, I need $1 million more. I'll go to the
maybe
Corleone
he's going
family.
to a bunch of crime families.
Maybe,
maybe he's going to Don Corleone for $1 million and political protection. He went to the Italians for $3 million and to back up the Corleone's investment.
Right. And then he went to Barzini. He talked to Barzini.
He talked to Barzini.
When you say it, I always think it's like Abe Vigoda because he's like, I talked to her.
Abe Vigoda may have been the one who overdubbed the line.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was probably in the sound studio at that time. Abe, come over and do your best Mo Green. He didn't even try to change his voice.
I think it's also very telling that when Sonny blurts it out and they show the other people in the room, they do not show Fredo's reaction.
Yeah.
Like they should have showed him like doing something else entirely, like reading a highlights magazine or something.
Or he's sketching Mickey Mouse characters.
Where you'd have one of those sticks with a cup on the end, and there's the ball where you're trying to catch the ball in the cup. Something along
Those old
lines.
40s kids games.
Well, it was funny. He was 45. So
Yeah.
that was the Game Boy of its day.
Yeah. Do you think Santino had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? He's always twitching, not very focused, impulsive.
Well, I don't know. I
don't mean to overdiagnose
That's what we're here for.
people, but
I don't know. I mean, I think it's possible people can just be. I don't know what the line is between someone just being high strung and impulsive.
well, I think clinically is if it gets in the way of your like functioning in life
Right.
in a positive manner.
Right.
This clearly his impulsiveness and jumping in this conversation had a huge impact on his family's experience and of course his own.
yeah, totally.
Led to his demise.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, he's off fooling around with Lucy instead of
Right.
being in the Don's office.
But can't I don't know. Well, it's a whole nother philosophical discussion about like if people just make bad decisions. Well, they must have some illness that is
Sure,
Like
yeah.
this has to be diagnosed as something that is like it's not their fault. They have ADHD.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I know it's a fine line.
It's controversial.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. I just wonder if he would have been, if it were 2018 and little Santino Corleone were 7 or 8 years old. I remember in Godfather 2, you see him in Sicily like punching his uncle.
Yeah. Well, I
wonder if he would have been prescribed medication.
I can't imagine the Don would have put up with that.
Yeah.
I mean, at least
Even in 2018?
I mean, assuming it's the same, assuming the Don more or less acts the same as he does in,
Traditional.
I'm sure he'd just be like, oh, he just needs a good beating or something.
Yeah.
Or like, it's hard to imagine him being like, some Scuvats doctors giving you these little candy pills. There's nothing wrong with him. A good 2 weeks in a Ellis Island won't fix.
These doctors have all these diplomas on the wall like Christmas ribbons.
Like champagne cocktails.
So big moment though. The Turk sees a weakness, an angle he can take.
This is the crack which will wind up shattering the Corleone family. Ultimately, all of the Corleone family, because Michael becomes the head, and then he kills Fredo, and then
and Kay and Michael have the big falling out.
Connie, I guess, turns out okay.
Yeah, but not her son Victor. Did
Well,
you hear what happened to him?
what happened to Victor?
He got picked up on some petty theft in Reno you don't even know about.
Oh no, I knew about that.
Oh,
I went to come see you first. Like, I wanted you to meet Merle.
Merle, I met him on the Queen. He booked passage.
Well, how does he make his money?
I don't know how he makes. I don't know what he does. That's what he says. I don't know what he does. I don't know him. And so the Don, he gets up, right, and he pours Sollozzo
Gets up,
drink,
he stands up.
and he says, "It's a pause. It's actually some time." And he motions to Santino to give him room to
Get
go
out of the
sit
way.
down. And I like this. He sits next to Sollozzo.
He does move from the opposite him to
Yeah. He sits next to him, and he brushes off either the chair or Sollozzo's leg. I couldn't tell what it was.
I noticed that too, and I don't know
awesome.
what it's about.
Did you think it was his leg, Sollozzo's leg, he brushed off? It seemed like a classic Brando improvisation.
That's I mean, it's tempting to go like, oh, he's sweeping away Sollozzo because he knows he's not going to do the deal. You know what I mean? Like that kind of gesture.
Yeah.
But it does seem like a kind of thing that he just noticed a little, like, fuzz on the chair or something and sweeping it off. Can't imagine it's his leg. That would seem too aggressive to be for him to swipe something off of someone else's leg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, It's even disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're violating someone else's personal
Yeah.
space, and you're pointing out that they have schmutz on their clothes, like
It's
some
true,
kind
yeah.
of, like some kind of.
Mr. Sollozzo, I'm going to say no, and but I'm going to say yes to get you into this boot black I have. He's going to clean your pants. He's going to get a lint off your clothes, shine your boots out.
You disrespect me by coming me with this lint-covered suit.
But yeah,
But it's a great pause. He gets up, he pours the drink, he motions over, Santino moves over. It's just you don't know what his answer is going to be.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's not stalling, but he's taking his time.
it's building the tension.
Yeah. And then he sits down and then he drops the bomb, right?
Well, he says, I wanted to meet with you because he wanted to treat him with respect. And but he says no.
And I'll give you my reasons. Here are my top 5 reasons.
Number 5. He's good with a knife.
Wait, it's a reason not to do
It's
it?
a reason not
Oh,
to.
okay.
Number 4. He's got more than one family.
You've got more than one family. Infame that.
Number 3.
Number 3.
He served 2 prison sentences, one in Italy and one here.
Like every information we know about Sollozzo.
Number 2.
He's in business with the Tattaglia family.
Yeah. And number 1, he only asked for $1 million. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so he gives him his reasons because he says basically the
Political contacts I have they would run for cover
Yeah.
if they because they regard this as unlike gambling, which they see as a harmless vice.
they see drugs as like it's a dirty business.
It's a dirty business. In the book, Puzo wrote a little bit more about the Don's response. Puzo wrote,
They think gambling is something like liquor, a harmless vice, and they think narcotics a dirty business. No, don't protest. I'm telling you their thoughts, not mine. How a man makes his living is not my concern.
I like how he says, don't protest. That makes it sound like the Turk is starting to get move in his chair.
It's
and
a good,
start,
or like, he's about to speak. Yeah. So, because he
Well, I
kind of
guess he does in the movie.
Yeah, he goes, Don Corleone, like he's starting to explain.
Yeah.
And
No, don't protest.
It's like it's not.
so I guess you don't need to say that in the movie. So in this case, the book is different than the movie because in the movie,
The book is different than the movie. The book is different than the movie. The book is different.
yeah, because in the movie you could show him interrupting and talk over him, where it'd be hard to convey that as much.
He has to write it.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to ask you this.
Me?
It's clarified in the book, but I want to get your opinion first. So it's a dirty business. So what? Why does the Don protest? Why does he say no?
Well, because his political contacts would.
Is it that simple? That he would lose in the long run. He would lose everything he's built, all his power.
Maybe you're right. Maybe on some level, there's a kind of old-fashioned thing to him. He's like,
No, it's molasses and gambling and whores. Those are the 3 things we do.
whereas he's kind of like the same way a lot of older people don't want to get like, I don't know, this internet seems kind of weird. My identity's gonna get stolen and so on.
Molasses, trucks, whores. I even said no to that franchise business that Hyman Roth tried to get me into. The rub joints.
So what?
In the book, Puzo wrote, and what this is still the Don,
And what I am telling you is that this business of yours is too risky. All the members of my family have lived well the last 10 years, without danger, without harm. I can't endanger them or their livelihoods out of greed.
Interesting.
interesting,
He
right?
says he's already like leading a good life, and I wonder why he specifically says 10 years. Like, what happened 10 years ago that was?
Well, I know 8 years ago was the band leader incident, the great band leader incident. But yeah, it makes me wonder, does Don Corleone, does he, like at some point can you ever settle in this business? I guess that's what makes the Don old fashioned. He feels like he can stay at this level and keep his family safe and living well.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Hagen, and I guess
know
Sonny
it's-
to some extent know that. Now, probably not Sonny, but Hagen knows that you have to keep innovating and growing.
I feel like
in order
Sonny's
to
doing it more
compete.
out of greed.
Yeah.
More than Or actually, I wonder if it's some. We'll get into it for tomorrow, the next week's episode. But maybe some part of it also is the fact that the Tatalias are involved. He's more like he wants to get involved, more to be like if they're doing it, then
Hagen, you mean?
no, Sonny.
Sonny, yeah.
Yeah, there's that competitive element.
Yeah.
Like Tom's is more of a practical thing. Like we have to do this to remain competitive, whereas Sonny's like, oh, I'm just going to show them I'm the. We can deal drugs just as well as any of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys.
Yeah. And there's a lot of money in that white powder. Well, and in the last minute, we talked about how in the book, Santino states that he would want a piece of it for himself.
Oh, the drug
Of the
racket?
drug, yeah. He could actually run some portion of that business. So I think there's some self-interest there.
Yeah.
Not
He already
just
wants
an
to get it
interest.
anyway. This would be a good way to get his.
Yeah, exactly. With all
get his
the
feet back.
finance from his father's business.
So I looked up some information about this dirty business that they're in.
Okay.
Like how does
Let's talk about it.
How does do current criminals in 2014 in the United States 80 operators were arrested for running illegal gambling operations. Most of these were 23 states, 80 different operators. And operators are not people; they are like an organization,
Businesses.
or whatever. Most of those had between 8 and 33 people, so they're not like huge
wow.
things, but big enough to again.
Yeah.
I wonder if legalized gambling has hurt. It had to have hurt the fact that
Organized crime?
The fact that you can go legally gambling probably in probably every state at this point, right?
Probably. Yeah, maybe not Georgia or Kentucky.
You don't think?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
I know, like,
well, on the Indian reservations, they
Right.
generally can, and they're not subject to state or federal law.
I know I went to Mississippi one time and they have legal gambling, but it's only on riverboats.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
So
It's a real Huck Finn job.
yeah. And another time I was out in Indiana and my wife was like, oh, there's a casino near here. We should go check it out. And we went to check it out. And it was one of these tiny little, like regional tiny casinos. No, like, there wasn't like a poker room or anything like that. But anyways, the rules in Indiana were something like a gambling thing you can only be on a boat.
Oh,
And
okay.
so basically you drove up and they had dug this gigantic ditch, like, half a mile long or something. And there's like a cruise ship in the middle of it. And
Is there water in the
yeah, there's
ditch?
water in it, and everyone gets on the boat, and then the boat moves like to the other, like slowly moves down to the other end of the thing, and then like takes maybe half an hour to move from
Oh
one end
my
of the thing to the other, and
gosh.
then people can get on and off.
Oh, that
it's
is
so like
crazy.
it's the letter of the law, but not definitely the
That's just
spirit of the law.
dumb. That's hilarious. Does it need a captain? And
Yeah,
everything?
probably. It has to get inspected by
Oh
ship
my
people and
gosh.
everything.
Coast Guard.
Yeah.
That's the easiest Coast Guard gig in the nation.
These days, drugs, Tom Hayden was right. Drugs are the thing of the future because it seems like drugs and human trafficking are the biggest
really?
things these days.
I've been hearing a lot more about human trafficking. I guess there must be a lot of money in it.
There's a lot of money in them. Those poor girls.
Yeah. But seriously, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I
so.
guess.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought about the economy of that.
Well,
Just as big as drugs.
well, no, drugs are bigger. In 2013, there was 100 in the United States. People spent $100 billion on drugs.
And these are illegal drugs.
These are illegal drugs.
Oh my gosh.
100. So more than like Hollywood makes, more than
Wow.
probably the auto industry. It's a huge thing. And 34 billion of that is cocaine.
So that's a third.
A third of it is cocaine.
So it was
Yeah.
100 billion a year in the U.S.
Yeah.
And 34 billion is cocaine.
It's cocaine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Wow. Sonny was right.
There is a lot of money in that white powder.
Yeah. Boy.
And I didn't even think cocaine was that still a big thing, but
No.
I guess the people who are buying it are spending a lot on it.
Yeah. Well, it's just 10 guys.
It's 10 guys who each spend $10 billion a year on cocaine. In Russia, drugs are a huge thing. 12% of the world's heroin is consumed by Russians,
Interesting.
despite the fact that they only have 0.5% of the population.
Oh my gosh, that's scary.
So, yeah.
That is pretty scary.
In Japan, Japan is old fashioned. There's still things are drugs, gambling, and extortion, and disagreement settlements or some dispute settlements.
What's that?
I don't know. It was in quotes. I don't know what that means. Like, I'm assuming it's like,
This is just muscle.
yeah, maybe like unions or something. Like they come in and they're like,
Wow.
you know, anyways. So,
The Don would have done well in Japan. Maybe when Sollozzo, when he was shot, he should have gone. Michael takes over the business, and Don Corleone should have moved to Japan to set up operations there.
oh, they totally.
I can't get any ravioli here. It's all this raw fish in my.
The noodles are okay. But oh yeah, then you finally have that tofu that.
He becomes the tofu Don.
It's like the worst. It's like the worst nickname.
Well, didn't the hippies in Mexico who were trying to extort money from the Don to get the son back? They were like, "Dude, we're gonna feed your son tofu every day until we get the $1 million.
What's the
Until we get the 1 million pesos because they're in Mexico.
beads?
Beads.
What is there a term for? I know there's the Memphis Mafia. That was Elvis's entourage. It's called the Memphis Mafia.
Oh, funny.
But there's another on the show Justified. They always talked about like a hillbilly mafia that was called like the cornbread mafia or something. I don't remember what it is.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Is that something I should ask and answer?
Yeah. Let's find out what that is.
Okay, write that down.
Basically, there's organized crime everywhere.
Yes,
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Right. And drugs is the big one.
Drugs is the big one. Yeah, I read a fascinating book one time that was talking about the whole the dark economy of the U.S. Like all the stuff that it's drugs, it's illegal immigrants, not just being paid off the books, all this kind of stuff that is just not like it.
Interesting.
I think it's like 20% of the economy is stuff that is not even like officially on record or whatever.
It's kind of creepy.
It's kind of creepy, but I don't know, in a way. I mean, obviously, like human trafficking and stuff. Like, I don't think cocaine is as bad as human trafficking, because human trafficking, you're forcing someone into an awful situation, whereas most people who do cocaine are doing it because they're choosing to do it or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, if you can get hooked on it without, before you're on kind of. But anyway,
as long as they keep it out of the neighborhoods, keep it away from schools.
I guess as long as they do that. I don't think they're doing that very well. Probably not. Yeah, but I see what you mean. It's kind of creepy.
I regard it as a harmless vice.
It's kind of creepy because all this stuff is going on. It's not accounted for, but that's how things were for thousands of years. That's how humans lived. They bartered and traded, and things had value and lost value, and new things gained value.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I kind of like it, is that it's kind of like that. I don't know, libertarian ideal of like, you know what, keep the government off our backs. We'll do our own little secret economy going on here. You want to buy a woman?
20%.
Yeah. Did we already talk about the dark web on this show?
Gosh, I don't know. You and I have talked about it, but I don't know if we've ever recorded our thoughts.
Yeah.
Silk Road and Bitcoin and all that.
Yeah. I've never.
I just wanted to include Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Bitcoin always gets a bad rap. It always gets lumped in with the dark web and all the evil things going on.
Have you
ever purchased?
Are you sponsored by Bitcoin? Because it seems like you bring Bitcoins a lot in this show.
I have so many Bitcoins in my e-wallet, like the judges.
Politicians and judges. Oh, you're about to ask me if I've ever bought anything on the dark web?
Alex, have you ever bought anything off the dark web? If you say anything illegal, I will promise I will scrub it from this recording. Actually, I'll just bleep it over.
Okay, I bought 200 pounds of cocaine one time.
Okay, how was it?
Oh, it was awesome.
Wait, you're one of those 10 guys, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Buying all the world supply of cocaine.
No, I've never visited the dark web. I don't know how it makes its money.
I don't know how you get on it. I hear there's some alternative browser that you can download.
Probably some software you have to download and stuff. But I do know someone who went on it, and they said they saw things that they wish they had not seen.
Oh boy,
you know what I mean? So you can imagine what kind of
Is it easy to buy stuff? It must be if 20% of the economy is taking place via the dark web.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I imagine probably a lot of that is the same organizations
Oh yeah.
Dealing with each other as opposed to like one guy going on who wants to hire a hitman. That must be probably a fairly small percentage of the relative to the huge drug cartels and things like that. So,
do you think if the Corleones were alive now and running business that they would use the dark web?
if Tom Hagen was around, they definitely would, because he has vision. He can see the future and all that stuff.
Would Michael? He's trying to get out of.
Well, yeah, I was going
illegal
to say,
businesses.
by the time of Godfather 3, he's already like trying. I mean, if it was young Michael, then yes.
Yeah.
Then,
But not the Joey Zaza.
not that Joey Zaza.
Yeah, he's trying to get out.
So, yeah.
Every time I try to log off of the dark web, it logs me back on.
Oh, I wonder if at that point, it would be like nowadays, if Michael Corleone, is it easier to be legit and hide it, to seem legit and hide your criminal ties than it was back then?
Oh, I don't know. I think everything's documented and traceable.
I guess so, but then there's the whole dark web.
Yeah. But even the dark web, can't the feds trace things? Or is it all through anonymous browsers and
It must be difficult.
ISP servers?
Yeah,
and
it
stuff?
must be difficult at
Yeah.
least.
I heard when they busted the Silk Road that 10 more of them popped up.
Yeah, that's what I imagine being
Just
the case.
all of
that-
these
yeah.
different interfaces where you can barter.
It's like the crime family. If you took out the Corleones, then the other families would just fill up the vacuum, or they
Yeah.
would. It's not like you're going to get rid of the.
Tatalia would continue.
Tatalia's a pimp. Yeah, so a lot of looks like the Turk was kind of ahead of it. He was a pioneer in a lot of ways.
Yeah, oh yeah. So toward the end of the minute, the Godfather says, "It doesn't make any difference to me what a man does for a living."
Right. You understand?
So, is that true? Does Don Corleone really feel that way, or is part of him saying no because of he disapproves of drugs or prostitution?
I think
remember the prostitution thing we talked about last week.
Right, and he clearly has contempt for
Yeah.
Tatalia, because Tatalia's a pimp. So
Tatalia's not a pimp. I talked to Barzini. Yeah, turns out Tatalia's not a pimp.
Oh, wow. It's good to know. I'll update my files on the Tatalia files. Yeah, I think there's probably some. He doesn't want to say it to the Turk. He's probably just trying to be like, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
But
I must say no because of all this lint you're carrying around on your jacket. All this cat hair on your pants.
so if he's in business with the Tatalias,
Yeah.
and then during the meeting of the 6 families, isn't Tatalia one of the people who's like, keep it away from the schools and all like.
No, it's one of the other guys who says that. I don't know.
that's
who
not
it is.
Tatalia?
No, Tatalia's just the one saying, "Well, I need assurances from Don Corleone."
personal vendetta.
Or how do we know that? He says, Tatalia
right.
says,
You're right.
how do we know that Don Corleone will, after he consolidates more power?
Yeah.
When have I refused the accommodation?
Let's reason together. The only other note I had was that he's pouring anisette, and that anisette is homemade by Francis Ford Coppola himself.
Oh, wow.
His father used to make it. He learned it from his father, and he was like, I knew if this, it would have to look authentic, because he's like, oh, when you buy anisette, I guess it looks different than when it's homemade. When it's homemade,
wow.
it tends to be cloudier because
Yeah.
it's like you're putting some water in it or something.
Interesting.
So I like that attention to detail. Like some
Neat.
Italian guy is going to be, what the hell? That's not even real anisette. He's going to like walk out of the theater. So
Can you think of another time when anisette is not only consumed but ordered?
is it in
I'll give
Godfather
you a
2?
hint. It is in Godfather 2.
Is it when they're at the dinner table and when with Frankie Five Angels where he spills his drink and everything?
No, close. It's just before that.
Just before
You and
that.
I watched the scene the other night.
I give up. What?
Their friend Johnny Ola visits from Florida.
Oh.
And he comes in and Michael
he
says, what can I get you? And
Yeah,
says,
right,
anisette.
Oh, right. There you go. So, only if it's homemade by the Coppola family.
Yeah. Johnny Ola sips it. This is terrible. Michael, this is terrible.
Why are you disrespecting me with this terrible anisette? Well, so that's...
I'm disrespecting you with this terrible anisette because you're just a Sicilian messenger boy. Teach La Porte.
Oh, I can't wait to get to Godfather
man.
2. What do we think?
Are you going to say right now that all the Frankie Five Angel scenes are fives? You want to make a prediction?
He definitely takes over the ratings booster in that movie. Any scene with Frankie Five Angels will be rated higher because he's such a character.
In preparation for
I love dumpy old Italian guys with mustaches. That's
drinking out of hoses.
drinking out of hoses. Yeah.
Code switching between Sicilian and English.
Yes, exactly. So
I think we should come up with a sound effect for ratings booster.
ratings booster, and, like in the initiated.
And then it should within that sound effect thing, there should be a Frankie Five Angel quote or sound effect built into that.
Yeah.
Like, waiting in the lobby.
I would have prepared something.
It's a Ritz cracker. A chopped liver.
Oh, the music should be.
Ratings booster. It goes, pop goes the ratings booster.
So what do we rate this minute?
Well, the Don says, let's review. The Don says no.
The Don says
He
no.
explains why. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
I do like
respect the sweeping off the leg.
I like Don Corleone's mannerisms in this. It's great acting.
You think so?
And even when he talks, like, why do I deserve this generosity? He's sort of smiling.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's kind of like, it's interesting seeing him negotiate with
I'm
someone who's more of an equal than
I'm going to
others.
say 4.
4?
I mean, it's sort of a 3, but it's Brando.
I'll give it 4.
It's Brando, Dad.
But Dad, it's Brando.
You're going for, hey, we don't have to agree.
No, I'll go first next time, so that way you'll get to agree with me instead of
your rating is a 4. I must say no. I disagree.
But Don,
no, don't protest. Don't protest. It makes no difference to me what rating you give it.
Well, if you think a 4 is a bad rating, then salute.
I got all these ratings in my pocket. There's so many boot blacks.
All right, I guess that'll wrap up minuto numero 32.
Oh man, I was gonna say I'm gonna erase that one out, but
Totally.
keeping that one. Repeat after me. 38.
38. Minuto numero 38.
You got it.
All right.
All right. So until next
Hold on.
time.
We haven't plugged stuff for what else. What are we going to talk about in the bonus content this week?
Oh yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We could continue with our bumper sticker and T-shirt ideas.
Well, I'm sure that'll come up.
That'll come up. Why don't we go to the Godfather handbook?
Companion? All right,
Companion.
let's let the Godfather companion dictate what goes on.
We'll
And of course, we'll have our newspaper headlines.
This just in.
Yeah, totally. So if you want to hear all that, go to godfatherminute.com/support. Sign up, get a little bit of extra every single week. And I was trying to think what percentage. Is it like 30%?
What's 30%?
How much is the bonus content ratio to the... We've got this anyway.
And as far as the length of time?
If you're, let's just say a listener's listened to this episode so far, and then there's what percentage, like, is it? It's not double. It's...
You're saying what percentage does Don Corleone get from this deal? He gets 30%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why does he deserve that generosity?
I think I was going
He's
to
the 30%.
Oh, I was going to say it's like 4 times as much.
4 times? Wow.
Yeah,
we don't want people to think there's going to get 3 hours of content.
Well, we just keep playing the cannoli countdown over and over.
Yeah.
By the way, Alex, how many minutes left?
Well, let's see. If this is minute 38 and the canola...
When is the last time you see Paulie?
Minute 59.
Yeah.
So that must mean it's 22 minutes from now.
No. 21 minutes.
21, that's blackjack.
21 minutes left. 21 minutes left.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. And until then,
Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Your life. And whatever you do, take that cannoli. Don't upset Clemenza's wife. We're working on a countdown.
Guns and cannoli. You won't be seeing Paulie no more.
How many minutes left? How many minutes left? We're doing the countdown. How many minutes left? How many minutes left, consigliere?